So if you'll look with me, please, Leviticus chapter 23, and I must do this quickly. Verse 4, these are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month, that's the Hebrew month Nisan, at even is the Lord's Passover. Then if you look, please, at verse 6. And in the 15th day, please tell me, if I go from 14 to 15, how many days have I moved? Oh, you're such a bright group. Okay, he gave us the month, he gave us the day, 14, first Passover. Now he's giving us another feast, and it's a day later. Listen to what it says. Verse 6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Leaven speaks of evil, error, corruption, spoiling. This is unleavened. Your church, when you have your communion, this is just on the side. But if you have the Lord's table in your church, I don't know what you use. And I'm not suggesting it's heretical, but the whole idea, and this is going to talk about that, is unleavened. Your bread has leaven in it. You need unleavened bread, or matzah, which is unleavened, when you observe the Lord's table in your church. I'm not saying it's a terrible, terrible thing, but if you want to be more accurate, more biblical, you should know it's not bread, it's unleavened bread. And this happens to do with, watch, verse 6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread unto the Lord. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. So now there's something else to note here. And it is this. It's unleavened bread, which starts on the 15th, right? Didn't say that? Now, don't shake your head unless you believe that's what the says. Okay, so the first one, Passover, was on the 14th. Feast of Unleavened Bread is on the 15th. But Passover, which we're looking at now, 1 day. It says it's just 1 day. The feast, it's 1 day. The second feast, which starts on the next day, it says, is 7 days long. You're going to do something special at the first day and also at the 7th day. But it's for you to understand that there's the Passover on the 14th and Feast of Unleavened Bread. It's the idea, unleavened bread. I remember as a Jewish kid growing up in the city of Philadelphia, my grandmother was Orthodox, which means very, very, very religious. I was just a youngster, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And when we'd come to Passover, they would call it Pesach, Passover. And my grandmother would take me, and I was just a kid, 10, 11, 12 years old. She lived right next to our house in row homes in the city of Philadelphia. And she would take me because she was trying to teach me, among other things. She insisted that I go to the synagogue when I was a youngster. After school, I had to go and study under the rabbis for a couple of years. I never learned anything because I didn't care about it or anything. But I had to go to the school for teaching. But my grandmother, when Passover approached, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, she'd take me through the house, and she had breadcrumbs loaded with bread. She'd go through every room in the house, and she'd throw the bread under the beds, into the closets, under the, what do you call it, when you have water going through these compartments? What are they called? How do you say it? That's what I'm trying to get out of you. Is it radiator or radiator? Depends upon where you live. But we had these radiators, but they never all worked. Some of them just, she would always trying to get them all to work. Wasn't too bad back those days, you know. But the point is, she'd throw the breadcrumbs under the radiator, into the closet, into the bathrooms behind the toilets. Everywhere through the house, she would throw breadcrumbs. Then she'd come with a broom, and she'd start sweeping it all. And I'm looking at a kid. What is my grandmother gone crazy? She just threw this stuff all over the house. And now she's sweeping up, and she spent hours getting every ounce of dirt or anything that is not kosher, not pure, and particularly leaven, get it out of the house and then take it and throw it out. If you go to Israel, the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you'll see more fires than you knew existed in the world. Almost every house will have these big metal cans. Almost every house. And they would get rid of all the leaven in the house, sweep it up, clean it up, and then they'd put it in these metal, and then they'd burn it. And you'd see, just like we got trash cans, they had these metal cans, and they had to get rid of it, the Orthodox. Not talking about the liberal, reformed, or non-observant Jews, but the religious Jews. They take this extremely seriously. The point is, leaven speaks of evil. The Lord said, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. That is the evil doctrine, the wrong teaching. And so on the 14th, the Son of God was crucified, Passover. He was placed in the grave. But there was no decay. There was no rotting. There was no spoiling. It was perfect.